So today I'm heading over to my buddy Chris's house to finish up, hopefully getting the turbo problems that he's having with the fasteners and everything loosening up on his custom built turbo Miata. So I have a couple of tools, a couple of thread cleaners and tap kit. We already had to remove a bolt that was broken off inside here and cleaned up the threads. We thought we were going to have to helicoil it. I don't think we will have to do that. He's ordered a little bit longer bolts. I think that'll remedy that problem. I'll show you what the other issue is once I get over to his house, and hopefully we can helicoil the exhaust manifold, but I'll show you that in a minute. Also, there's the brake parts for my wife's Honda Pilot. I will be doing that soon as well. Alright, so this is drilling out so we can helicoil the manifold, and we're doing it on the car. So I think that might be it. Yep, that's good. All right, so it's all drilled out. Now I'm running a tap in there. This will tap it so we can use the helicoil insert, which will be in the next clip. It's kind of messed up here, and I'm surprised the helicoil kits don't come with it. But so when you have these guys, and you have that little prong that sticks out, that's how you drive it into the new tap. You have to have this tool, and we had one, but it's definitely the wrong size. So there's a particular size for each one of these. So I'm surprised though when you buy the kits for the helicoil, it doesn't come with the installation tool. So I'm not sure what that's all about, but we're gonna have to go make a road trip, try to find one. Okay, so typical guy here didn't read the instructions, which were not only written but also nice big pictures for the real stubborn guys. They don't want to read the instructions. The kit does come with the installation tool. That's this guy right here. I was just so entrenched in, you know, the past, or what I've used in the past, needing this tool. I took Chris, went over to the brake and alignment center with Chris to go get his Civic aligned, and then a light went off above my head and was like, you know what, that black rod that's in there, that's got to be the installation tool. So I come back and I looked at it, and it is definitely the installation tool. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get this installed now so you can see how it works. Basically, you take the helicoil, this part here, and you put this, and that's why this has the, if you look here, has that little threaded part there that'll catch the tab on there. You seat that all the way down in, and then you can just screw it right in. So I'll see if I can show you on the block, but I don't know that you'll be able to see. I don't know if I can prop the camera up anywhere. You just thread it on until it bottoms out onto that part, which this tool actually should work even better than the previous tool I've used. Okay, so then you just slowly get it started. And I cleaned those threads out already. So, okay, so it started. And it's a little tough going in, but that's good. You want it to seat in there really good. So I'm going to grab the tool and go ahead and thread that into the depth I need, and then we can put the stud in and put the turbo and everything back on. All right, hopefully you can see that. So now it's fully installed. So now we have some good threads in there. Trying to find a good. So then we can take. Here's the stud, this is a special bolt that comes, I think Chris said he got it from the Flying Miata, which a lot of guys that turbo these Miatas, they get their parts from the Flying Miata. I guess that's like one of the main I haven't done a ton of Miata research, but so now this guy should just thread right in. Look at that. That's nice. So now we can get that on there. I'll double nut it on this side and then run that in there so it's nice and tight like the rest of these. And then we're getting close to getting the turbo back in and cleaned up. Well, Chris is still waiting on, he ordered a little bit longer studs for the downpipe. Actually, I'll show you that part. So these are the ARP bolts that he had in there, and you can see he pulled some threads on that. But if you look on the turbo, you can see that first little bit there, it doesn't have any threads. So then the threads start below that. That's probably about 1/8 of an inch. But by the time you take this bolt, which was, I think this is the 0.98, so it's essentially 1 inch long. By the time you take this 1 inch and you go through the flange, the downpipe flange, which is a 1/2 inch, and then even with no gasket, so you got the 1/2 inch flange, and then you have about 1/8 inch with no thread, and then this grabs in, you really only end up with probably like, 5 or 6 threads, like where my fingernail is, holding it in. So he was constantly battling that. So once I took all those measurements, I told Chris to order up they make their longer bolt, the ARP or through Flying Miata or wherever he's ordering it from, for this setup. They make one that's 1.38. So, and these holes here are like 1 inch deep. So being that 0.38 of an inch longer than these will give him more thread depth inside here, and it'll be a tighter, more secure fit. So those bolts should be in soon. Once that happens, then I think that's going to remedy most of his problem here on the turbo to downpipe fitting. And then this part here, this flange, is the part that's going to go onto the exhaust, the turbo exhaust manifold. Really not a good way to extend the bolts on that. I really wish those bolts were a little bit longer too, but he hasn't really had too much of an issue up there. On my way home, I got to do the brake job on my wife's car. Norma's Tamales was open. I swung in and I grabbed a dozen tamales for $15. There's 4 beef, 4 chicken, and 4 pork in there. So I'm excited to try a couple of these. I'll let you know how it goes. Tamale time is over. They were super good. I'll definitely be back. A dozen for $15 is a crazy good price, and they were authentic. So now it's time to put these premium brakes from AutoZone onto my wife's Honda Pilot. This is the rear of it. So I will be doing that. I don't know if I'm going to video the whole thing. I'll just do little segments here, see how this goes. I got my new toy here. Really cool cordless impact. I already loosened these up by hand for the breaker bar. So I'm going to clean these calipers up. I'll get those painted. I have to pull it apart. Getting a little bit of corrosion in here just from these northern Michigan roads. The rotors don't look like they're in horrible shape, but I get a little nitpicky when it comes to tires and brakes and all that stuff, and vehicle maintenance overall. So get these all changed out. I live in a neighborhood, so you might hear some kids screaming and playing in the background, but it is what it is. So now what I need to do is I got to pull these guys out. These are just screws. Those are used in the assembly process, and thankfully these are really loose. Otherwise you have to sometimes use a impact screwdriver. So now I'm going to loosen up these back here. These are 12 millimeter, and these are where the caliper slides are. So I'll definitely get those loosened up first, and then I'll loosen up the caliper bracket bolts, and then I'll just take that whole assembly right apart, and then I should be able to dismantle everything. Little impact action is the way to go, in my opinion. This is all new stuff. original equipment, I should say, with about 40,000 miles on it, never been touched. All right, I got all the bolts out, really without an issue or anything. Just get the caliper off. Kind of set that out of the way, pop it up on something. You can see the pads actually aren't that far worn. I honestly thought they were going to be worse than that. But I'm going to go ahead and replace them anyway, just because that's how I am. And then I have to get this rotor off. So sometimes you can get it to loosen up just by doing that. If it wasn't going to do that, you have these bits here, and you can take a metric bolt and you can put it and you tighten them evenly into these two holes, and it'll actually press this off from where it's at. And sometimes these stick. We've never used our parking brake or emergency brake, but they put the parking brake and emergency brake on the inside of these newer cars with these rotors. So I'll get all this cleaned up and put the new bits on. Well, it's getting there. I got the black rotors on. Those are like anti-corrosive coating on these premium rotors that AutoZone sells, so I'm going to try those out. I got the caliper and the caliper bracket painted. I'm waiting for that paint to dry. I'm going to go tear apart the driver's side while I wait on this one, and then I will check back in once it's all assembled and completed and see what it looks like. Really, the rotors and pads that I took off though with 40,000 miles on them, I really don't think they look that bad. Like, I definitely could have ran those longer. But I already bought the parts, so I don't feel like taking them back, and I wanted to address some of the corrosion issues in there anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and get them installed and just see how they feel, and then I'll probably do the fronts. The fronts are going to be in the same situation. They're definitely not worn enough to really warrant changing them, but I want to get everything cleaned up and painted and take care of some minor corrosion issues. All right, there we go. That's fully assembled. I'll throw the wheel back on, and I'll give you a very after, like through the wheel, just to see what it looks like. And then I have to go drive it and bed them in, all that good stuff. Still have to go do the driver's side. I got it tore apart, but I didn't. I just wanted to throw this side together real quick so you could get a look at it.